On a previous video, I challenged Jen to play one of my all-time favorite RPGs, and now she's going to tell us what her thoughts are. Welcome back. I'm Scott.
I'm Jen.
We are Retro Rivals.
And this is our dual review of Skies of Arcadia. Now, we have done a Skies of Arcadia review on the channel before.
I did one.
Yes, Scott did one. I hadn't played the game at that point, so I didn't have anything to add, only what I had seen of him play of the game. Like Scott said, this was a challenge, and I was scared. I was scared because it was a big game, and I knew it meant a lot to him, so that pressure was on.
See, like, Jen has bad habits of not reading the text, trying to get into the story. She doesn't have time for that stuff. Only thing I told her to do is take the time, read the story.
Yes.
Try to get invested in the characters.
And I did do that. We're going to do this a little bit differently than Scott typically does his. I want to cover story overview and the major themes of the game. Skies of Arcadia revolves around Vice, a young air pirate and his friends as they embark on a quest to uncover the secrets of Arcadia's ancient civilizations and thwart the ambitions of the Valuant Empire. Fina, a mysterious girl pursued by the Empire, joins their crew. Together they search for the powerful moon crystals while facing off against Imperial forces, exploring ancient ruins, and forging strong bonds of friendship. Fina's quest to gather the moon crystals to prevent the Empire's tyranny plays a vital role in the story as she reveals her true identity and confronts her destiny alongside Vice and their allies. It's just easier to give the overview because as we dig a little bit deeper, you're going to know what the story's about.
Yes, and for anybody that has never played it, it gives you an idea. And then maybe you played this a long time ago. Maybe you played it when you were a kid and it just kind of refreshed your memory.
Yeah. So some of the major themes, and I wrote down 5. I mean, the very first one is undeniable. It's an adventure game. The entire thing is one giant adventure, which most RPGs typically are.
Yeah. So that's the way I always explained what Skies of Arcadia was about. I said it's a giant adventure that turns into a little bit more.
Obviously, it's also a story of friendship right off the bat with Vice and Aika. Or Aika. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Let us know in the comments. I always looked at the name on the screen and it always said Aika.
Yeah, same here. But it's friendship. Even as you're meeting new characters, I don't think you're necessarily wanting to have to battle against them. You're trying to make them an ally. Through the entire game, you're trying to make allies and friendships, and even from the start, it's a game of friendship. It's also a game of freedom. Freedom from under your father's ruling, I guess, because at the first of the game, he wants to be his own man.
Yeah, well, Vice is like a young man. I assume he was like a teenager.
Yeah.
And he's basically, by the end of the game, he's a leader.
Yeah.
A young man at that point, right?
And it kind of, like, there's a few of those major themes that blend into each other. But freedom also from oppression, especially for the city of Valua. For Lower Valua, they were oppressed by Upper Valua and the queen and her tyranny. So it's a big quest for freedom for most of the characters in this game. And then also courage. He had to, face these new foes and find the courage to do it. And everybody did. Everybody had to step up. When they wanted to go against Valua and defeat them, or if they wanted to defeat that big final boss, you had to have the courage of conviction to kind of get through that.
You have to have a bad guy that looks like it's insurmountable. The odds are just way against you, and everybody has to rise up.
And this game really highlights that. And then it's also a game of growth. He's, like we said, he's a young man when he starts the game, and he grows in character as much as he does in age.
See, he doesn't physically
age.
But you can tell his character, or like the way he talks and the way everything he does, the way he acts. Yeah. He definitely gets older through the game.
Well, nothing was more apparent to me than when they came to Pirate Isle and they kidnapped his dad, Dine. And he had to go and rescue his dad, and he had to be the man of that island while his dad was not there.
The leader.
He had to be the leader, so he had to grow. So those are the major themes. I thought this was really interesting, which we included in the story now. is the main and playable characters. That we needed to expand that more because those characters set a base for your story. Vice is your main character.
Main protagonist.
Yep, talked about him quite a bit already. Aka is his right-hand girl.
The redhead.
Yeah, she's been with him this entire time. They grew up
plug.
together. She is a little spark plug. Typically, when you have a female protagonist in a game alongside a male protagonist, they're your magic, they're your healer.
They're also very delicate.
Yes, she's none of that.
She's very tomboyish,
yes.
I feel. And,
yeah, she could lead her own army.
Yes.
Yeah. Fina, on the other hand, is that girl.
Is the princess.
Is the princess.
Literally.
Yeah, and she's very dainty, very ethereal, always very, like...
She's your healer.
Eager to please and very, I don't know, demure. Drachma was one of my favorite characters because he was like...
rough and scruff, grumbly old fisherman.
Yeah, just a grizzled old, hateful old man. I love those kinds.
You gotta type, huh?
I gotta type. Reek, not my type. Cool character all the same. He should have been a bad guy because of his mother. His mother was just terrible. She was the leader of Valua.
I tell you what, if he had been a bad guy there, he would have been a great one because I would have hated him.
Yeah.
It's just that character, the whole thing there. I didn't care for him a lot myself.
I didn't love him either, but his attacks were great.
Yes.
And that's why I did like him. Gilder, on the other hand, you're like...
He's bravado.
Yeah, bravado and just a bachelor through and through. He's just like, wants to sail the seas or the skies in this instance.
He's gonna divide and conquer.
Yeah.
The seas and the ladies.
And the ladies. So those are your main and playable characters. And I would like to say you always have 3, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you play as just one. In Vice, you
get separated in the part of the story.
Yeah, but most of the time you're playing as a group of 3, sometimes 4.
Yeah.
Next topic, battle system and mechanics. This is what made this game great to me. It was more than just your typical...
It kept it interesting.
It did.
Yeah.
It's more than just your typical JRPG.
I think basic would be a better term for it. It's not your typical basic turn-based RPG.
You're not just on the map and then all of a sudden you're fighting on the map. No, you can be also fighting on the ship. And then you can not also be fighting on the ship, but you could be doing ship battles. Which made this game really cool and something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
It was a little bit tough to figure out at first. It's kind of like a stoplight. So you have your green, your yellow, your red. Green, you're good to go. Wide open attack. Caution for your yellow and red is you should put your defenses up.
Yeah, put your defenses up and your turn right after you might want to have an automatic heal going right on there.
Exactly. Yeah. There's also different magics that you can speed things up. There's bigger weapons too. I think it was every 21 points. The harpoon, when you had the little jack, that was the harpoon.
And
but when you had...
with the moonstone attack with the big ship.
Oh yeah, with Henrique's ship. Yeah, that he gives to you. So it made it very, very interesting.
Now, refresh my memory.
Yep.
Because there's a meter at the top. And you can fill that meter up through attacks without using your magic, and you can also do a focus, I believe.
Yes, you can focus and get more points.
So yeah, so if you're going through your turns with your 4 people, if you plan it out right, if I do a focus, and then I can get to Vice with his big...
Yes.
Was it Pirate Slash? I can't remember what it was. Pirate's Wrath.
Pirate's Wrath.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, what was Aka's? It wasn't Lambda Burst, but it was another fire attack.
Lambda Burst was my favorite.
All the time. Lambda Burst.
No.
Fire consume my enemies.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I said fire consume my enemies, Lambda Burst down here, to the point where I'm sure my throat was raw because I was saying it every time I would throw it.
But it's fun. It was a fun
so
attack.
Much fun.
And speaking of all the magic attacks, just the animations in those magic attacks.
Oh my god, yeah.
It really elevated the game. That's the word I'm looking for. It really elevated the game. I never got tired of them.
No,
I never got tired.
It was so much fun. You also have Fina has Cupel, and you have to find Chams throughout the game.
See, when I was playing the game, I had no idea at first. No idea. I'd be walking around and your controller beeps, doesn't it not?
Yes, it does.
And I was like, why is it beeping? Why is it beeping?
You asking me that.
And then once I actually figured it out, I had to go back and try and find the rest of them because
I definitely didn't.
That's how you upgrade your Cupid? What? Cupid?
Cupid.
Cupid,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a little weird Pokemon character that tags along with her.
Yeah. Well, you can also find Chams, but you can also get Choms.
They'll poison you.
I know,
Yeah.
because I threw up all my Chams, and then I had to go put my Chams back on Cupid.
How would you do?
Escapade.
Like you must.
I didn't know what the hell happened. Yeah, it was weird. Also, each moon presides over an element or an attribute, and you equip them to your weapons. Some of your enemies are weaker to other ones and stronger to other ones.
Some of them will be completely immune to those attacks.
Yeah.
Like,
Red is your fire and your power enhancing magic. And they kind of coincide with areas in the map too. Like this really made me think of Nazar. It's like the desert area. Green is Zayataka, and that's poison and healing magic.
Was that the place that I liked
The
most?
jungle. Yeah,
jungle
you really like that.
one.
You like
Just the
going down the
music,
slides.
Just the environment of it.
Yeah.
Was really cool.
Yellow is electricity and stat decreasing. I didn't use yellow a lot.
I think I did. I just don't recall because it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, and yellow kind of coincides with Valua. Blue, Euphatoma, casts wind and water and speed increasing magic. Now, I did use it for the speed increasing. Purple is the Glacia and Lands of Ice, casts frost and ice magic. That's another one I really didn't use.
My healer, I would have had the green and the blue. Fina,
well, silver.
possibly.
Silver might have been what you used for Fina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that's Soltis and the Great Silver Shrine, and that's basically her lands, right? And it's a curing magic and of adverse effects and instant death magic. It was very interesting to equip these things, to level them up properly.
But once you found the stuff that you kind of liked,
Yes,
you went all in on that.
You went all in on that. Now I went all in on everyone with healing magic, because I don't want to leave myself open that if I lose my healer for whatever reason, that those people don't also have the ability to heal.
As soon as I had somebody that could revive, you gotta get that.
You have to.
When I'm thinking of challenges, I always think of the first boss.
Yeah.
Which is the only one that I really remember losing to
a
couple of times in a row.
Same here.
What am I doing?
Same here.
It was the Executioner, was it not?
Yes, that great big boss. Was he not at Valua? He was in the
I
arena
we
when
had
you
to
were
go
trying to save Dime.
underneath to get to. It was like the sewers to
Yeah.
go up underneath to
They were gonna
rescue
hang-
his dad, wasn't it?
They were going to hang Dine and all the men that they had kidnapped from Pirate Isle.
I found that one.
I did too.
Was not prepared as well as I should have been because
Yes.
I didn't take the time to do a little bit of grinding and
Yeah,
I didn't have
same
myself equipped the way I should have. A good lesson for me to learn
Yes.
what I need to do.
The map was probably the most challenging part of the game for me.
Yeah.
And then you probably had a bit of a harder time with the
The Dark Rift?
the Dark Rift. That's
I tried to do it without looking in the walkthroughs. And
I just followed the walkthrough because I'd seen...
You understand why I got so lost?
Like the second star from the left that shines the brightest. Like, they're all shiny and blue. Which one?
I was so
That's
lost.
how hard that was.
I
and
had
I
to
was
go
like, I'm
right
not
to
doing that.
YouTube and find the video that the guy got through it because I was so lost and confused at that point.
Yeah,
But that's all I did. I did that, and then I don't think I looked at anything else.
I very lightly touched the walkthrough, but really followed it for the Dark Rift because I had just a select amount of time, and I didn't want to get stuck in it and confused by it. The next part of the review, we're going to talk about the areas and unlocking the map, which was
the best part of the game, possibly. Besides all the animations
stories.
Everything's good.
You would get different parts for your ship to access different parts of the map, which was really cool.
Because there was obstacles, kind of like an asteroid field in the air that you couldn't go through.
And then sometimes you'd have to go higher or lower.
And you didn't have enough power in your engine to go high enough to get above it, or to be able to dive underneath and go under it.
Yeah, and then you need to be able to get through the ice.
The ice one, that was another part,
So I wrote down some stuff about just different, I guess, memorable parts of the map to me. Obviously, Pirate Isle, that's home base. That's where Vice and Acre are from. You have Shrine Isle, that's your first mission. So that was a big deal to me because I was kind of like, okay, here we go. This is the first real, battle I'm going to encounter in the game. It was, it played a significant role because also it's the gateway to Soltis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't know that right till the end of the game.
Yeah. See, you're going into the game, you're nervous, so that first mission, you're on probably like...
Well, I always had
an 8 or 9 on the...
Yeah. Sailor's Isle, That's the first island you do any trading at. You also meet some of your future ship castmates there, and the crew that join you at Crescent Isle. Valua was probably one of the places that hit me the hardest because of that class division.
You start, because I told you, make sure you talk to everybody. And then you start to get a feel for the area, and the story, and the characters, and everything.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you this, too. So, when you're walking through Lower Valua, you talk to the people, they tell you how terrible life is, and the music sets the atmosphere, and it's dark, and it's dingy, and it's dreary, and
it's depressing.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
So this was really cool to look up. It's actually a Finnish word for drain, ooze, or stream. Yes, which makes so much sense because they were so impoverished that just the way they described that, and that's the Finnish word. It's cool. Perfect. Porteka was your favorite. That's the jungle.
The jungle theme. I just love the music, and then the environments, and you were going, you were zipping down slides and climbing up poles and stuff like that. It was like,
and they're
reminded
very
me like
hesitant.
Snakes and Ladders.
They're very hesitant at first.
Yeah, you had to earn their trust.
Yeah, because they had been attacked by Value, and they didn't trust outsiders. Nazrad, where Aka and Fina live for a brief time when they get stranded after their lifeboat goes down. And that's when Vice gets stranded on Crescent Isle. And that's a pretty big city, and it's got a big fountain.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And they miss each other in passing as they're going out of their rooms, and you're going into yours.
I remember that now.
And you're with Gilder at that time.
Okay, the girls are with Gilder, aren't they? Or is
no,
Vice?
No, Vice is with Gilder.
Okay,
Vice picks
and then Aka and Fina are together.
Yeah, they got picked up by Gilder, the lady that had a crush on Gilder. Her name's escaping me right now, but she was like head over heels for Gilder, was going to follow him to the edge of the earth, and he was like, leave me alone. The Dark Rift and Esperanza.
I did not like that.
No.
Talk about like a cool environment.
When you get through the wormholes and get on the other side of that, you never have to go through the Dark Rift again, and I never did.
Oh, once I was done, I was done. I was going back.
Euphotoma, that was probably one of my favorite parts.
Describe it. Is that the one with all the water?
Yes, and when you go there, they're like
China or something.
Yeah,
with all
they're
the
like,
houses?
why do you not have black hair? They can't understand why you don't have black hair. Yeah. And I liked having my little round boat. And I was like going along, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, waterfall. That'll probably just end the screen there. There's no way I can go down. And it just throws you down. And at first I was like, oh, crap.
When did I save?
When did I save? I didn't finish stuff at the top. How do we get back there? It's easy.
It's not bad, yeah.
It's not, but yeah, it threw me for a loop a little bit. Vortex is the deep sky. So you go in there to find Fina's ship. How is a game from this era making me feel this heavy? So as I was going down, and the vortex is going around you, and you're seeing lightning in the background, and you're sinking down deeper, I was like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? Oh my god, what's going on?
I want to touch on that. Why does a game from this era make you feel that way? Because as an artist, what does it take to create an art? This is art.
It is absolutely
digital.
Art. It is
art. There's so much, the music and all the graphics and the story. There's so many different talents and art there. They just must have had an amazing team. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like when you make an amazing painting, people come in here and they just like, holy crap, that's really cool.
But
that's what they're doing with this.
I know. In this area of the map, though, there's so many shades of gray and black that you're like, how can you convey the message you're trying to put across, that this is heavy and that you need this ship to be able to go higher in the sky, to be able to get to where Fina's from. And I felt heavy, and it felt like it was a heavy mission to find that ship. I
think with everything, it's just amazing job by artists.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. Great Silver Shrine, now that we're on that, where the elders live and where you go to confront the Sylvites about what they did.
Is that the one that's up in space?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, because you are actually walking... Because there's no gravity.
I know.
Remember, it's weird. You're walking upside down.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I had never played anything like that at the time.
I know. I remember watching you do that, and I was a little bit concerned about that part of the game, too.
Wow. Yeah, I could see how you could be confused.
Yeah, because you feel like you don't know where you're going. Hydra. That's the ship commanded by Lord Galassian, and one of the last big battles, and you also board the ship to defeat Vigoro and the Executioner. I feel like this was a little bit directed towards kids, but then when you put Vigoro's character in, and he's like chasing Aika the entire time.
I had said something to Jen upstairs because she's like, how do I pronounce that? Is it Aika or Aika? And then she was going down through the list, and then she's like, Vigoro. I'm like, you should have been called Viagra.
Oh my god.
Like the way his character is, he is like...
he was after her.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the game, like, not the end of the game, but when you defeat him towards the end of the game, he's humble about it a bit, and she's like, why can't you be like this all the time? And he's like, not my nature. And he just kind of takes off. He's like, thanks for the bell. And he goes away. And then the very last one I had to highlight was the Lost Continent of Soltis. And that's where it rises up from the sky, kind of like erupts up through, and that shrine isle, that's the gateway, that opening into that continent. Yeah, and that's where your final battles are taking place. Now we're going to move on to storytelling and music, and this is what makes the game special.
The storytelling is, like I said, through the characters, the music, the environment.
Yeah. Do you know what I thought was really charming? Anytime they'd be going to a new area, I heard this place was like that, and then they'd have those little like clips of what was going to happen there. In the desert, they just say you burn right up, and then they have them on fire.
Yeah,
and
like a little comic.
Yeah, kind of like a little comic strip. I thought that was really cool. Just throughout the entire game, when they're meeting new people and you're making choices, you have little dialogues that will come up. And then you'll have a couple different choices of what Vice can say in return to that. And depending on what you choose, his character goes up. Like, he can be Vice the Legendary, Vice the this, Vice the that, depending on the choices you make.
I don't remember where I ended up, but I think you were like Legendary.
I think it was Vice the Legendary.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was.
But every time you do something and you make certain choices in the game, your legend increases. And so when you go places, they're like, I've heard about you. You're this guy.
Basically, if you want to be the hero, you have to act like the hero.
You have to act like the hero. You have to do the things that heroes would do.
Yeah.
And then even too at the same time, you need to know when you're putting too much on the line, because there was times even when you'd be battling, they'd say, should we attack him from behind or should we attack him from front? This is this and that is that. And you'd have to make a good decision based on what your crew is telling you. So not only do you have to play the role of the hero, you have to be somebody that's going to allow yourself to take advice from your crewmates and be a good captain and a good partner. And this game does all that the entire time. We got to listen to the vinyl. You listened to the vinyl I got you at one point. But this was the first time I was listening to it with fresh ears, having played the game, because everything sounded pretty before, but I couldn't place it to a moment in the game. And that music places you in a moment in the game. For you, it's Horteka. Every time you hear that music, you're like, that's Horteka.
Oh, your song would play, and then we wouldn't be looking at the names on the back of the case. We would just, this is this. Yeah, and that's the battle music, and this is this area. So between the storytelling and the music, it's a game changer. It makes it what it is. There's people out there be like, why do you collect the vinyl? I don't collect a lot of vinyl, but
no.
That one there, I really want it. And it's like it's a thing. It's like a special little, go in there, throw that on. You do it like maybe once or twice a year. You have a coffee, you just kind of relive those moments in the game, right?
Memorable moments and missed opportunities is what I'm calling this. So I'm going to read them off because I wanted to write them down to really get my words across, and then you can react to them and we can talk about it. Lower value and the despair that grows like a fungus on all its inhabitants. The short dialogue in the bar where one of the patrons who is basically working to live and dying slowly doing it. And he tells you that. He's basically working and dying at the same time, and all he has is this one drink at this bar, and then he has to go back to nothingness.
It can touch home a little bit there, because I think we've all had a day like that.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's people that have many days like that.
Rescuing Dine and reuniting with his family and rebuilding Pirate Isle. Also rescuing Marcos as well from his orphan disparity. So Marcos is this like little punk kid in Lower Valua, and the entire time I think this little jerk's gonna rat me out. I'm not gonna make it to
I felt
dine,
the same way.
And I'm not gonna be able to rescue him. He's gotta be that kid. He needs to be that jerk. He has to have a hard exterior. He has to be tough to survive that.
Yeah, the world's gonna chew you up, spit you out.
Yep. Drachma's tragic backstory, how he lost his son Jack, and how he kept his feathers as keepsake, and that Rachnam was the reason he lost Jack, and he was trying to attack him the entire game, to take him down, to take him out, to get revenge for his son and the crew members, and then also what happens in the end.
It's a whole Moby Dick story.
It kind of is.
Oh yeah, but then at the end, he's like...
At the end, towards the end, when you reunite with Drachma, he's staying with Rachnam to help him in his passing, because he actually saves Drachma from the Valuan Armada.
Yeah.
He pulls him to safety and comes to find out that it was never Rachnam's fault.
No.
Yeah, and also what happens to Drachma at the end, he returns to his peaceful life. He's found freedom in everything, and then it's only a short time, and then he passes away. It's so tragic.
Tragic. That's a great word for it, because he basically
spent his life,
wasted his life kind of
on revenge.
But luckily, he was able to,
find peace
before, because what if he didn't have that moment? Then
he would have died, and everything. Yeah. His whole life would have been in vain.
Yes.
Gregorio sacrifices himself to save Enrique and the party from Lord Galcian. He distracts him in battle so that he can escape. Putting my life on the line so that you can do good in the world, and you're even more inspired to make sure you do it.
Yes.
Because he basically, you're going to die. You're not going to defeat Lord Galcian. And he comes along, and he's supposed to be Enrique's mother's right-hand man. He's supposed to help her out, and he tries to bring you home. He tries to take your ship down and bring you home at one point, but you defeat him. And he's like, good play, you got me, I'm gonna let you do your thing. And then when you get to this part of the game and it's all but over, he should, for all intent and purposes, take Lord Galcian's side, but he's like, no, you know what? You're a man, and I believe in your conquest. I'm going to put my life on the line. And he dies. He dies so that you can escape. When Belza reveals her true motives of helping Vice and steals the red moon crystal, but then later crashes her airship into the Hydra to take down the ship and Galcian to repent for her part in the destruction of Valua and the loss of all the innocent inhabitants. So she's the dancer in Nazar.
I remember.
And then you're like, okay, who's this lady? But she turns out to be part of the evil armada that's going to stop you.
Or something.
Yeah, she's kind of like a spy. She gives spy vibes, but she feels so bad at the end of the game that she crashes her ship and takes out Galcian and his in the Hydra.
Did a kamikaze.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, did that just happen? So many people are killing themselves, so you can succeed. You better succeed. And then all the stories where everyone went after the final battle against Ramirez and Zelos. And then Enrique becoming the new leader and rebuilding Valua alongside Miyogi. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Those are all your pros?
Are all my memorable moments. All my pros. That's my pros.
Pros and basically the story.
Yes, it's all my pros. Cons, wait time in between battle rounds. It's to be expected. It's an older game. I get it. Too many random encounters sometimes. I felt bombarded with random encounters at times.
When you're in a dungeon and you're on crunch time for, I gotta get ready for work soon.
Yes.
And you need to get to a safe spot, that's when it sucks.
Well, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the map confusion. Because I would get so turned around from a battle that I didn't know if I was supposed to be going straight, left, right, or backwards. I
don't remember having a lot of problems with map, but...
I historically do not have great success with maps. The Mauve TARDIS felt like a pointless mission. So you're in this big cave system, and I'm just going through, hitting one thing, going through, hitting another thing, and it's just, then you take it and you go back the other way and you take the fork and you do what you gotta do there.
Did we split up at that point?
No.
No.
It's just it's a pointless mission to get through the Mauve TARDIS onto the other side, but that whole thing just felt like, we need to stick something here, let's throw that right there. That's what that felt like.
I don't really recall it.
Yeah, but when we watch this back and you see when I put the gameplay, you'll be like, that was kind of blah. Yeah. And the whole color scheme of it was very blah in that part too, so I'm just like, I could have did without that, but that's like one teeny tiny bit of it. And then there was so many pointless random encounters in there. And then the cost of the game, $120 on the Dreamcast and $160 on the GameCube, and that's USD. That's not even Canadian, so that's way more for us. That's way more for us.
Yeah.
I didn't need to put anything in this category overall and what could have been, because it's just easy enough for me to tell you that. It's easily, without question, my favorite RPG I've played to date. And I'm wondering,
now, you don't have a lot on your list.
I don't have a lot on my list. But I have a lot of good ones on my list, and this is the best.
It inspires you to have more experiences like this, though, right?
I was emotionally drained by the end of this game and not ready to be done.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want it to finish. When you're in a good RPG and you're coming up towards the end and you're like, oh, I might only have 10 hours left at this at the most.
Yeah.
And then the closer you get in the story, like, I feel like it's getting really close and I don't really want it to end.
Yeah.
I've seen me, like, not really play the story.
But go around and grind?
I'll come down and just do some grinding or exploring just because I'm not ready to end it. And I'll come down and play, like, on a Tuesday, and I'm like, I'm planning to finish the game Saturday when I have a nice big stretch of day and I can just
really
and enjoy
let it sink in. So overall, it was phenomenal. Like I said, my favorite RPG to date.
We did a 10 out of 10 video, and you did agree with me that I think it's a 10 out of 10.
I had not even finished the game yet. I had about an hour and a half, 2 hours left of it.
Yeah.
It was a 10 out of 10 already at that point, and it didn't change. Yeah. It didn't change by the end. What could have been? Why is there not a sequel? I don't understand. There's so much content left on the table for what could be a sequel.
Why do we not have a remake?
Yeah.
HD remake, or at least an HD remaster.
We're living in an age of remakes.
Everybody, like there's got to be something with licensing, something like that. So we got to get it done.
Yeah, I think it could make a phenomenal.
Right now, like you said, the only way to play it is you have to dish out some pretty good money or play it on an emulator. But it's such a great game that I don't see why we couldn't have it on the PS5 or I don't think maybe the next Switch will have enough power to give us an HD.
Maybe.
The Switch would probably be able to do this, but I don't know if it's going to do it in HD. I don't know much about those kind of specs, but Nintendo did everything else. Why can't we do this?
Why can't we do this? Yeah. I know at the end of the game when you defeat Ramirez, you're born into the sky and you live in the sky and you die in the sky. Whatever they say at the end, we'll pop it in right here. Maybe I'm turning this into survival horror. I'm trying not to.
Well, why couldn't we have a sequel? Right?
Why couldn't we have a sequel? But why couldn't he fester in the deep sky and grow and be angry and come back, and then it's a new adventure for them to try to defeat him, or something. Somebody
could revive him somehow. Or
I just think it's too cool not to continue with it, and it just kills me that there's not a sequel. But that's what I think could have been, and maybe it still could be.
Saying that we want to have a sequel, do you really think they can recapture this right now? What modern game have we played that hits you this hard?
I know. I think like you said with the remake, the first step is to rebuild that wider audience, put a remake out there, make it accessible, make it affordable for people to be able to put their hands on. Show those people
empowered that this will make some money.
Yes, and then maybe we could get a sequel. But yeah, I don't know how much more I can say about the game other than if you haven't played it and you'd like to play it, I think you should try. And even if you have to emulate, I fully support anybody trying to play a game any way they can. Yeah. So, we both loved it.
Oh, I loved it because this is the one I recommended to you.
Yes, exactly. And
challenge. I think it was more of a challenge.
And you were happy? You're happy with how much I loved it?
I'm ecstatic that you loved it as much as me. So much so that I think I've convinced her to make me a painting.
Yeah,
probably.
I think that has to be the painting that goes right up there. There was possibly a painting that was going to, but I think this is like, that's a square. That's a perfect square. That would make a good painting. So stay tuned, guys. And until next time, game on.
We'll do this little shout out here. I want to thank
Mondane
and his wife. I can't remember her name. Do you remember her name?
Mondane's wife.
Mondane's wife. Thank you for the t-shirt. And thanks, Suzanne, for our new mugs.
Yeah.